I remember the moment it happened as if it were splashed in neon against my otherwise routine day. It was late afternoon, and I was sitting at my little kitchen table in my modest apartment when I decided to review my monthly credit card statement. Bills, subscriptions, and mundane expenses filled the page, but then my eyes locked on an entry that made my heart stutter. There, in stark print, was a charge I didn't recognize, a hotel expense from the Hotel Celestine, an establishment I'd never consciously visited. For a long minute, I stared at the digits. My pulse quickened with a mix of confusion and apprehension. Had someone used my card? Or was this some glitch? I scrolled down to find details, the date, the amount, and a cryptic note in the description that simply read secret meeting, confidential. There was no name, no obvious indication of who had booked it. Yet, the charge radiated significance, as if it were a carefully planted breadcrumb leading me into a world I had never known I inhabited. My mind raced. In recent months, I had grown tired of the monotony of my daily life, a life marked by predictable routines and silent yearning. I had long harbored a secret desire for something different, clandestine meetings, hidden rendezvous, a taste of forbidden romance. But I had always kept these dreams locked away behind closed doors, afraid of the repercussions if anyone discovered. Now, that mysterious charge was demanding my attention, forcing me to confront a possibility I'd once only dared to imagine. After several minutes of deliberation and trembling curiosity, I resolved to investigate. I saved the transaction details, emailed a copy to my personal address, and decided that tonight I would confront my fear of the unknown. I wasn't sure whether this charge was the product of some clever fraud or an echo of my own suppressed desires, but either way, I knew I had to follow the thread. That evening, as dusk melted into twilight, I found myself pacing the narrow hallway of my apartment. I had just finished a simple dinner and now felt as if I was standing on the edge of a precipice. I reread the email from the bank, the mysterious hotel charge shimmering in the digital glow of my phone screen. My heart was heavy with anticipation and uncertainty. Could it be that someone, an unknown benefactor, a secret lover, or even a hidden part of myself, had orchestrated this meeting? I spent the next hour wrestling with my thoughts. Every rational part of me screamed caution, yet an intangible force urged me onward. Memories of dreams I'd once entertained, of sneaking away to decadent hotels, of meeting men with eyes that promised mystery, flashed through my mind. 4 years I'd suppressed that longing, burying it under responsibilities and the safe banality of a life chosen by others. But now the universe seemed to be sending me a sign, a chance to reclaim that stolen piece of my soul. I decided then that tonight, I would dress not as the cautious accountant or the dutiful daughter, but as the daring woman I'd always longed to be. I rummaged through my closet and selected a deep burgundy dress that clung elegantly to my curves, a dress I had saved for occasions when I needed to feel powerful and alluring. I applied my makeup with deliberate care, accentuating my eyes and lips with a subtle intensity. Standing before the mirror, I marveled at the transformation. The woman who stared back was confident, radiant, and ready to step into the unknown. Without a clear plan yet, I resolved simply to follow the call of that mysterious charge. I booked a cab to Hotel Celestine, the address provided on the statement, and clutched my phone tightly as if it were a talisman. The ride was a blur of streetlights and whispered hopes, my mind abuzz with possibilities. I wondered if this secret meeting would be with a man I had never known, someone whose very existence had been hidden in the shadows of my daily life. The charge read confidential and secret meeting without ever naming him. Who was he? And why had he chosen to reveal himself only in this indirect manner? Every minute in the taxi felt like an eternity, each turn of the wheel carrying me further from the familiar world of my old life. I was no longer just Marina Ellis, the woman who blended into a background of routine. I was an adventurer stepping into a story that was mine alone. Hotel Celestine loomed ahead, a grand structure of glass and stone that exuded an air of timeless luxury. I stepped out of the cab, pausing to take in the building's intricate facade. Its marble columns and shimmering windows caught the light of the setting sun, and for a moment I felt as if I were walking into a dream. Inside, the lobby was hushed and elegant. A soft piano melody played in the background, intermingling with the low hum of discreet conversation. I approached the reception desk, my footsteps echoing lightly on polished marble. The receptionist, a middle-aged woman with a warm smile and a discreet manner, looked up as I approached. "Good evening, Ms. Ellis," she said calmly. I nearly jumped. How did she know my name? But then I remembered the charge, the secret that had unfolded on my statement. I offered a tentative smile and stated, "I believe I have a reservation." Her eyes twinkled, and she typed something into the computer before handing me a small, leather-bound key card. "Room 412, she said softly. "Enjoy your stay, and please, keep this between us." Her words, laden with unspoken meaning, sent shivers down my spine. I nodded silently and made my way to the elevator, the key card clutched tightly in my hand as if it were proof of a new beginning. The ride to the 4th floor was a quiet journey of introspection, each floor marking a step further away from the life I'd known. When the elevator doors opened, I stepped into a corridor lit by warm, amber lights. Room 412 was at the end, its door adorned with a polished brass number. I inserted the key card and pushed the door open. Inside, the suite was a luxurious retreat, rich carpets, soft furnishings, and a balcony that overlooked a glittering cityscape. I set down my small purse and sat on the edge of a velvet armchair, my mind whirling with questions. Who was waiting for me? Why had this secret meeting been arranged in such an elaborate way? And, most importantly, was I ready for whatever revelations might come? The hours passed slowly as I explored every corner of the suite, my thoughts oscillating between excitement and anxiety. I half expected a phone call or a knock on the door, yet nothing disturbed the quiet intimacy of the room. Just as I began to wonder if the mystery had been a cruel mistake, the doorbell rang. I nearly dropped the phone when I heard it, a single, measured chime that seemed to echo through the space. I approached the door cautiously, my heart pounding. Opening it, I found a man standing there. He was tall, with salt and pepper hair and eyes that shone with an intensity that belied his calm demeanor. He wore a dark suit, and his presence exuded a quiet authority. Yet there was an air of vulnerability in his expression, as though he, too, was stepping into a moment of uncertain destiny. "Marina," he said, his voice low and gentle. "I've been waiting for you." I hesitated. How did he know my name? And yet, in that moment, nothing felt coincidental. The charge, the reservation, his arrival, all the pieces of the puzzle were falling into place. Despite the surge of questions, I felt an inexplicable calm settle over me. This was the man I had not even dared to name in my secret fantasies, the man whose existence had been hinted at by a mysterious hotel charge. Without offering any explanation, he stepped inside, closing the door behind him with a quiet finality. We stood there for a few moments in silence, the air charged with anticipation. I searched his eyes for clues, and in them I found a reflection of my own hidden longing, a desire to break free from the chains of an ordinary existence and to embrace something extraordinary. "Please, come with me," he said, extending his hand. "I have something to show you." I took his hand, feeling the warmth of his skin and the gentle strength of his grip. We left the suite together, stepping out into a night that was filled with promises and secrets yet to be revealed. The corridor of Hotel Celestine, normally a place of quiet solitude, now pulsed with the rhythm of our footsteps as we walked side by side. He led me down a long, well-lit hallway, occasionally stopping to glance at a door here or there, as if ensuring our privacy. His silence was both comforting and disconcerting, every pause was loaded with meaning, every step a subtle declaration of intent. We reached a small door tucked away at the end of the hall. With a soft click, he opened it to reveal a private lounge, a hidden alcove designed for clandestine meetings. The room was dimly lit by soft, diffused light, furnished with plush sofas and a scattering of low tables. A faint scent of sandalwood and fresh linen filled the air. It was a space that felt suspended in time, a secret haven for those who wished to speak in whispers and share truths in confidence. "Welcome to my sanctuary," he said quietly, gesturing for me to sit. I sank into the velvety sofa, feeling as if I were entering a world entirely my own. On a small table before us lay a single envelope, its wax seal bearing an emblem I didn't recognize. He picked it up and broke the seal carefully, unfolding a letter that was written in elegant, flowing script. The letter spoke of clandestine meetings, of a pact forged in secrecy and bound by mutual need. It described how our paths had crossed in the shadows of our separate lives, a convergence of chance and destiny. I listened, enraptured, as he read aloud the words that seemed to articulate my own hidden desires. The letter revealed that our meeting was not an accident but a deliberate act of liberation for both of us, an escape from lives defined by conformity and fear. As the words washed over me, I felt tears prick at the corners of my eyes. I had never imagined that my private yearnings could be mirrored so precisely by another soul. Here was a man who, without ever uttering my name before, seemed to understand the depths of my secret self. And yet, even as I was drawn to him, a part of me remained guarded, reluctant to fully surrender to this unexpected intimacy. When he finished reading, we sat in silence for a long moment. The only sound was the gentle hum of the air conditioner and the soft beating of my heart, a heartbeat that seemed to synchronize with his own. "I have never revealed your name," he murmured softly, his gaze meeting mine with a blend of reverence and regret. "But in every secret meeting, every whispered conversation, you are known to me in ways words cannot capture." His words struck me deeply. I realized then that I had always held onto an unnamed figure in my fantasies, a man who represented both the promise of escape and the mystery of the unknown. Now, as he sat before me in that hidden lounge, I knew that this encounter was the realization of a dream I had long thought unattainable. Over the next several hours, the private lounge became a confessional, a safe space where we exchanged stories and bared the truths of our souls. He told me about a life marked by sacrifice and secret rebellions, how he had once been trapped in a world of expectations and conformity, forced to hide his true self behind layers of duty and fear. His words were careful but sincere, and I found myself nodding in understanding as he recounted moments of quiet defiance and the gradual, painful process of reclaiming his identity. I, too, shared my own story, the long years of feeling invisible, of watching opportunities slip away while I played the role expected of me. I spoke of dreams that I had buried deep within my heart, and of the quiet desperation that had led me to plan an escape I never dared to announce. As I spoke, I realized that each word was a step toward liberation, a step away from the life I had once known. Our confessions wove together a tapestry of shared pain and tentative hope. Every revelation deepened the connection between us, and I felt a warmth that I had not experienced in years. In that quiet space, surrounded by the soft glow of hidden lights and the gentle hum of whispered secrets, the mystery of the hotel charge took on new meaning. It was not just a financial anomaly, it was the key that unlocked a door to a part of my life I had long denied. When the conversation finally lulled, silence settled over us like a soft blanket. I gazed into his eyes, searching for the unnamed promise that had drawn me here. I never knew how it would feel to be seen, I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. To have someone understand the parts of me that I have kept hidden for so long. He reached out and gently brushed a stray lock of hair from my face. "You are seen, Marina," he said, and in that single word, the use of my first name felt both intimate and revealing. I sensed that he had been a silent guardian of my unspoken desires for far too long. "I have cherished every secret meeting, every moment we've shared, even if I have never dared to name you aloud in a world that would not understand." In the days that followed, life at Hotel Celestine took on an otherworldly quality. By day, I wandered the sunlit corridors and marveled at the elegance of the hidden spaces within the hotel. By night, I found myself drawn back to the private lounge, where quiet conversations with him, whom I still only knew as the man I never named, became the center of my existence. Yet, as the initial thrill of our clandestine meetings deepened into a more complex intimacy, subtle shadows began to creep into the edges of our secret world. I started noticing small inconsistencies, an unanswered phone call, a hurried glance exchanged in a crowded corridor, or the way his expression would flicker with a hint of sorrow when a certain topic was broached. There were moments when I wondered if our connection, so raw and beautiful as it was, might be built upon secrets that neither of us was willing to reveal. One rainy afternoon, as I sat by the window in my suite, a text message arrived from an unknown number. The message was terse: "Not all secrets remain hidden forever." The words chilled me, and I spent a long while pondering their meaning. Were they a warning? Or were they the product of someone who, too, had been drawn into this labyrinth of hidden desires? The uncertainty gnawed at me, and I realized that to truly embrace this new life, I would have to confront the possibility that every secret, no matter how beautiful, carried its own price. That evening, I returned to the private lounge with a mixture of apprehension and determination. I needed to know, did the man I had come to trust hold any secrets of his own that could shatter the fragile intimacy we had built? As I entered the room, the soft lighting and the familiar scent of sandalwood did little to calm the storm inside me. He was waiting, as always, seated in the same worn leather chair, a book in his hand and a distant look in his eyes. Without preamble, I asked, "Is there something you haven't told me?" My voice trembled, betraying the vulnerability I felt. He closed the book slowly and looked at me with eyes that held both pain and acceptance. "There are parts of my life that I have kept locked away," he admitted. "Things that I am not ready to share, even with you." The confession was simple yet laden with unspoken depths. I realized then that the secret meetings, the unnamed love, were built on a foundation of half-truths and careful omissions. And yet, even as the truth threatened to upend everything, I could not help but feel that this was the natural consequence of daring to live authentically. The tension between revelation and preservation hung heavy in the room. I struggled to reconcile my desire to know every detail with the realization that some mysteries must remain unsolved. As tears welled in my eyes, I reached out and took his hand. "Maybe," I whispered, "our connection is meant to exist even in the gaps between our truths." He squeezed my hand gently, and in that silent exchange, I understood that the beauty of our secret meetings lay not only in the light we shared but also in the shadows we tolerated. In the wake of that painful conversation, life outside the hotel took on a reflective quality. I spent my days exploring the city with fresh eyes, visiting art galleries, wandering through bustling markets, and finding solace in quiet parks. Every new experience seemed tinged with the bittersweet memory of my secret nights at Hotel Celestine. I began to document my thoughts in a journal, capturing the nuances of my evolving emotions and the subtle shifts in my identity. Each entry was a testament to the transformation I was undergoing. I wrote of the thrill of escape, the exhilaration of clandestine encounters, and the haunting beauty of a love that existed in fragments, illuminated by stolen glances and whispered promises. I chronicled the small, everyday moments that had taken on extraordinary significance, the warmth of a stranger's smile, the rustle of leaves on a brisk autumn day, even the rhythm of my own heartbeat as I contemplated the mysteries of my life. There were days when I longed to know more about the man whose meetings had come to define my nights, about the secrets he guarded so closely in the past that weighed on him. Yet, with every unanswered question, I learned to appreciate the imperfect nature of our connection. I realized that love, in its truest form, was not about having all the answers but about embracing the mystery with open arms. One crisp morning, while sitting in a sun-dappled cafe near the hotel, I encountered an elderly woman who seemed to radiate wisdom. Over a shared cup of coffee, she spoke of her own past, a time when she had taken risks, followed her heart, and lived a life unburdened by regret. "Sometimes," she told me, her eyes twinkling, "the greatest gift is not to uncover every secret, but to savor the beauty of what remains hidden." Her words resonated deeply, and I knew that I was on a path that, however uncertain, was wholly my own. Months passed, and the initial intensity of the secret meetings gave way to a more contemplative rhythm. My nights at Hotel Celestine became interlaced with days of introspection, as I navigated the complex terrain of desire, identity, and the unspoken bond with the man I never named. There were moments of profound joy, a shared laugh in the dim glow of the private lounge, a silent embrace that said more than words ever could, but also moments of searing doubt. One evening, as I prepared to leave the hotel for what I thought might be the final time, a single thought seized me: had I truly escaped the life I once knew, or was I simply trading one kind of confinement for another? The idea that my secret meetings, though liberating, might also be imprisoning me in a cycle of half-truths was too painful to ignore. That night, I sat on the balcony of my suite, the city's neon glow reflecting off distant rain-soaked streets. I stared into the darkness, contemplating the paths that had led me here, and the uncertain road ahead. In that moment, the man I had come to love, the one I never fully named, appeared at the door. His presence was both a comfort and a challenge. "Marina," he said softly, "there comes a time when we must decide whether to hold on to secrets or to embrace the entirety of our truth." His words, so simple yet so powerful, echoed in the quiet night air. I realized that I was at a crossroads, one that demanded I choose between the safety of our carefully constructed mystery and the risk of revealing everything, even if it meant losing what we had built. With a deep, shuddering breath, I stepped forward, my decision resonating with both fear and hope. "I choose to live fully," I declared, "to accept that some secrets may remain, but that my heart is not afraid to break open and shine." In that moment, I knew that every charge on my statement, every secret meeting, had been a step toward reclaiming the life I was meant to live. As days turned into weeks, the tension between mystery and revelation continued to ebb and flow. Our meetings grew less frequent, each encounter now imbued with a quiet melancholy and a deeper understanding of our shared vulnerabilities. I began to write more fervently in my journal, capturing the beauty of our fleeting moments and the bittersweet nature of our connection. One chilly autumn evening, I received a final message on my phone, a single notification that read, "Farewell for now. Until our paths cross again." I stared at the words for what felt like an eternity, wondering if it was the man I had come to know bidding me goodbye or if it was simply the natural conclusion of a chapter that had run its course. The notification felt like both an ending and an invitation to start anew, a bittersweet farewell wrapped in the promise of future encounters. I spent that night in a restless daze, reflecting on the journey that had begun with a mysterious hotel charge and led me through hidden meetings, whispered confessions, and the slow, painful process of self-discovery. I understood, finally, that not all mysteries needed to be unraveled, some were meant to remain as sacred memories, fragments of a life lived boldly in the face of uncertainty. In the weeks that followed, I took tentative steps toward rebuilding a life that was entirely my own. I left Hotel Celestine behind, both physically and emotionally, carrying with me the lessons of our secret meetings, the courage to embrace imperfection, the strength to hold on to beauty in the midst of sorrow, and the knowledge that even the most elusive love could leave an indelible mark on one's soul. I eventually moved to a small, sunlit apartment in a quieter part of the city, a place where I could reflect on the past without being haunted by it. Every morning, I greeted the day with a renewed sense of hope, determined to honor the memory of the secret meetings that had transformed me. I began to create art, sketching, writing poetry, and even experimenting with photography, capturing the ephemeral beauty of life in its raw, unedited form. One particularly crisp morning, as I sat by the window sipping tea, I received a letter delivered by a courier. The envelope was plain but carried the weight of a message I had been waiting for all these years. Inside, written in a familiar yet unnamed hand, was a note that simply said, "Thank you for showing me that even a mysterious charge can be the spark of a beautiful escape. May our memories forever guide you to new horizons." I did not know who had sent it, but I felt no bitterness, only gratitude for the lessons learned and the transformative power of secret love. That day, I took a long walk through the city, each step a silent ode to both the past and the future. I passed by art galleries, busy coffee shops, and quiet parks where I once sought solace. I realized that the mysterious hotel charge had not been a mistake, nor a product of deception. It had been a catalyst for change, a sign that sometimes the universe speaks in the language of subtle coincidences and hidden opportunities. I vowed to keep moving forward, even if some mysteries were meant to remain unnamed. I embraced my life with all its imperfections, and with every sunrise, I felt a deep gratitude for the secret meetings and the unnamed man who had, in his own way, helped me reclaim my destiny. Years have passed since that fateful evening when a mysterious hotel charge revealed secret meetings with a man I never named. The echoes of that transformative time continue to resonate within me, reminding me that life is a tapestry woven with threads of both light and shadow. I still keep my journal, a treasured artifact of a journey marked by bravery, vulnerability, and the willingness to step into the unknown. Today, I am no longer defined by the constraints of my former life. I have learned that true liberation comes not from unraveling every secret but from embracing the beauty of mystery itself. I no longer yearn for the presence of the man who once visited me in the quiet halls of Hotel Celestine, for I have discovered that the unnamed figures of our past often serve as mirrors to our innermost desires. In quiet moments, as I gaze out at the city's skyline from my new apartment, I sometimes catch a glimpse of the past, a memory of whispered confessions in a hidden lounge, the gentle brush of a hand in a moment of shared vulnerability, and the warm light of a hotel corridor that once held the promise of escape. I carry these memories like delicate treasures, a reminder that even the most mysterious chapters in our lives can lead us to unexpected beauty. I have come to realize that my journey is an ever-unfolding story, a narrative of transformation, courage, and the quiet magic that lies in following one's heart. And while I may never fully know all the secrets that led me to that fateful hotel charge, I now understand that some enigmas are meant to remain untouched, their allure preserved in the space between memory and dream. This is my truth, a life reimagined through the lens of mystery, where every hidden charge, every secret meeting, and every unnamed moment is a stepping stone toward becoming the person I was always meant to be. I continue forward with gratitude, with hope, and with the unshakable belief that our most profound escapes are often written in the subtle language of fate.